Welcome to this introduction to Year 7 Unit 5, where we actually focus on numerical modelling, or the use of spreadsheets. Now, it's very common for students to have met spreadsheets at primary school, but we have to make sure everybody knows the basics when we start Unit 5. Very commonly, students at primary school have used spreadsheets to draw graphs, for example, or to do basic calculations. So most of what you're about to see may be familiar, but if it's new, then maybe go over it a couple of times just to double check to make sure you know what's going on. Now, everything contained in this video is going to be doable using a web browser, so don't worry about having Excel installed at home, but just a reminder that you have an Install Office button up here in the top right-hand corner of your Office homepage. And this will allow you to install the full Office 365 apps onto your Windows PC or your Mac, which includes Excel. So as with all things, it's slightly better to use the real application rather than the web version. But just to give you a quick tour of Excel, I'm just going to load this up on the screen and open up a blank workbook. So here we are in the Excel web app, which has named this initial workbook as Book 1. I can click up here at the top and rename it to any name I like. However, I'm going to keep it as Book 1 just so I know to delete it later. Now, Excel provides a series of these little boxes. These are called cells. Whichever cell you click on, the indicator up here in the top left tells you the address of that cell. So this cell, for example, is in the B column in row 5. We refer to these letters as column headers, and each of these columns can be resized if you hover somewhere between each column and the next column and then drag the mouse to resize that column. You can also select multiple columns by clicking in the middle and dragging across, and if you resize one of the columns, all of the columns that are selected will resize automatically to the same size, which keeps things neat. This process works exactly the same with rows. And if I click in this corner button, this allows me to select all of the rows and the columns, and it means that I can set all of the rows or all of the columns to be the same height all at the same time. Now, the real power of Excel is in doing calculations. For example, if I put a series of numbers in these first 4 cells in the B column here, I can then add those up together using a formula. So if I press this little auto sum button over in the top right, it produces a formula. Here we can see this is a formula because there's a little equals at the beginning. This tells Excel that this cell will contain a formula. This formula is made up of a sum function, and inside the brackets we tell the computer what to add up, what to sum. In this case, the range B2 to B5. B2 to B5. I can also get the computer to add up individual numbers by clicking on them and then pressing the control key down and pressing another one. So here, for example, I'm just asking it to add up B2 and B4. But if I click on B2 and drag down across B2 to B5, it will produce this sum of adding up all those numbers. Now, if you've done that in your head already, you will know that the sum of that is 66. Summing a series of numbers is not the only thing that's common. If I drop this little arrow down here, you'll notice that the other thing it can do is an average. It can also count how many numbers are there, find the maximum, find the minimum. So if I click on average, for example, and then drag across those numbers, so we're doing the average of B2 to B5, then the computer will find, hopefully, 16.5 as being the average of those 4 numbers. Now, the other way, and the way you may have already worked out to do with Excel of adding together numbers or doing calculations, is to put your own formula in. So if I type in equals, so I can start my own formula, I can type in the references, B2 in this case. Notice as soon as I type B2, it recognises that's a cell reference and highlights that particular cell. And then I can use any of the maths operations to, for example, multiply B2 by B4. All I did was click the mouse in that location and B4 appeared rather than typing it in. And I can then add on B5. Or I could, for example, just add a fixed number on, like 44. The computer will then multiply those 2 numbers together and then add 44 on and give me the result, 299. It's important to note that BODMAS works here. So, for example, if I type in 200 minus 15 times 16, the computer will do the 15 times 16 first and then subtract the answer from 200, giving me, in this case, minus 40. If I wanted the computer to subtract the 15 from the 200 first, I would need to use brackets, as we do in mathematics, to tell the computer that the subtract is more important than the multiply. So rather than minus 40, we would now get 200 minus 15, 185, multiplied by 16, a significantly larger answer. The other thing that's worth exploring are these options here to make the spreadsheet a little bit nicer. You can see bold in this location, you can see borders. I can decide, for example, to make the total bold and then to colour in the boxes in these particular cells. Here's the borders, and I can select this option here to generate borders for every single box. I can also change the highlight colour, so I can make them all blue, and I can make this particular cell here a different colour if I want to. There's also options to change the formatting. These cells are all auto-formatted, which means numbers tend to appear on the right-hand side and text will appear, the text alignment will be on the left, but I can force all of the writing to be in the centre by selecting which option I want. So although there aren't as many features on here as there are on the real version of Excel, there are plenty of things that allow us to change the text and the way things look on this online version. Right, now back to Onenote, which obviously you can access. The first task we ask you to do is to play around with a spreadsheet we call Homer's Donuts. The scenario is that Marge is a little bit concerned about Homer's consumption of donuts, and what she wants him to do is to keep a record of the donut consumption during a week, and this will work out the total spend he's spending on donuts each day, the totals for the week, and then we need to make the spreadsheet look a bit nicer. Now on the OneNote, there's an actual Excel document, so if you have the real version of Excel, you can simply click on this, or on the web version, right-click and download a copy of this spreadsheet and then open it up on your home computer. But you should have access to this link, which provides you with a copy of the blank Homer's Donuts page. As soon as you click on the link, go to File and save your own copy into your online space, onto your OneDrive of this spreadsheet. So here you can see the blank, and what you need to do is to work out what would go into this space here. Now one little rule is that you're not allowed to look at this and go, okay, well that would be 1 times $2.55, he's American, so that would be $2.55 on a Monday, and 2 lots of $2.55, which would be $5.10 on a Tuesday. Now, although that is numerically correct, and obviously we can decide later to just change this so it does look a little bit more like, so we can use this drop down to actually turn it into currency, in this case £5.10. The problem is, if I decided now to record a different number under Tuesday, like 5 donuts, this is not changing. So we need to make sure that these boxes in the D column don't just contain numbers we've typed in, but instead contain formulas to do whatever you need to do, without giving too many clues away, whatever you need to do with this number in B4 and this number in C4. In other words, we need a formula in this location here. At the very bottom, we need a formula here that allows it to add up all of the totals. So this first spreadsheet is just designed to give you a little bit of an explore at putting formulas into a spreadsheet and then making the spreadsheet look pretty. And as usual on your workbook, we're expecting you to produce a screenshot to show an example of your Homer's Donuts spreadsheet in its best form. When you're taking your screenshot of your Homer's Donuts page, that you include this line with the formula so we can see that you've included formula in each of these boxes. Good luck with your introduction to spreadsheets, and we hope that you're going to be able to produce something that you're very proud of.